Hello, Humans vs. Zombies community. My name is Chris Guinera. I was the head admin for the Fall 2016 Oklahoma State University Gotham City game. I was also the creator of the Global Admin Exchange Facebook page and also a moderator on the Humans vs. Zombies subreddit. I've also been indirectly involved with Nations vs. Zombies from the very beginning. There have been a lot of rumors and misconceptions about what has occurred, and I feel obligated to at least offer another perspective and provide additional transparency for the events that are unfolding. I will try to stay as neutral and objective as possible when stating my experience, and I also encourage you to make your own decisions and do your own research. However, understand this is what I personally experienced. Eric and I met, and we quickly hit it off as friends. I was just put into my first admin role, and he became my connection to the outside world. Through talking with him, I was able to connect Oklahoma State University to the global Humans vs. Zombies community. When I created the Facebook exchange page, he was the first one that I talked to, and he sent the messages out to help make it grow. He actually talked to me about NvZ before anyone else, so we were really, really tight back then. He and I both had similar goals in trying to unify the Humans vs. Zombies community as a whole, and he wanted me to be on his moderator team for NvZ, but I declined because I just got back from my deployment with the military, and I just wanted to shoot some stuff, honestly. So I did offer to help and step in if he didn't need it, but I was really trying to just play it if possible. So we're going to fast forward to the week prior to the NvZ game. I believe it was the Tuesday night prior. I was a player, so I was very much out of the loop on the game design when he actually contacted me. He told me that the game was on the verge of collapsing and that his moderator team was in complete disarray. One of the mods that he was having the biggest issue with was Darren Harrison out of Missouri State. He's also another really good friend of mine. I told him that I would act as a moderator team to try to work things out between he and Darren. Darren's concerns were that Eric was trying to monetize the game. That's what his perception was. Also, he was trying to power play the MSU campus into doing what he was wanting. He was not accepting other moderator inputs and basically pushing the other people in the moderator team away by changing things that were already decided upon by the team without telling them. And also, Eric was never actually a head moderator of any game prior. I actually believe he was never an official moderator ever. I cannot confirm that. I know he's done reffing in the past, but I don't think he was ever actually involved in game design. So bringing in all these moderators who have a lot of game design experience onto the team, and then Eric trying to push them really drew a lot of issues. So Darren threatened to pull the permits of the game. He was never actually going to do so, but he threatened them, hoping that things would change because of it. I mediated for Darren, mediated for Eric back and forth, and after ensuring Darren that things would be okay and I would help out wherever I could, I then turned my attention to Eric and ensuring the game was in good working condition because I was told it was not. I didn't get into too much detail to ensure integrity of the game since I was still intending on just being a player for the game, so I only talked about stuff with him that would have been revealed prior to the game starting anyway. So I had some serious concerns in the game design and everything, basically. The perks are broken. There were mechanics in place that were way too complex, and they had no means or plans to actually implement these ideas that they had. From what it appeared, the game looked like it was still in brainstorming phase. It wasn't anything that I would even consider a completed plan, especially one who had 6 months to plan for, and this game started in 3 days. Furthermore, it's supposed to be the biggest game in the nation, and it was bad. It was seriously bad. So after that, I stayed up with him until about 3 a.m. talking to him about basic game design stuff, such as meaningful choice, mission before narrative. Make sure you have missions in your game design prior to having a narrative. That was a big issue they were having. Having counterplay. They had a lot of issues with that. Depth versus complexity. Having a too complex game and not having enough depth being added by these complex features. Also explaining to him that the more features that you have don't make a better game. He was really trying to push the whole, this game will be unlike no other and have just so much stuff thrown at it. It's not always the best thing to do. Also, I wanted to have him have more choice and conflict in his game. It was pretty narrow in what we saw. Quick side note here: I'm getting a lot of these from the extra credits YouTube playlist that Levi Blake made. Seriously, check it out. Extra credits, Levi Blake. He made a YouTube series on it. He got all this sort of cool stuff from NvZ and put it in there. It's really, really awesome, and I would highly recommend watching it before you actually create a game. So after talking to him and sitting down with him, I actually gave him homework. I told him he is going to watch the entirety of what Levi Blake actually posted, and he was to report back basically what he saw. So at the end of the night, I told him that I was still able to help out wherever he needed, but also I still did intend on playing. All right, so then we're going to fast forward to DarkCon. All right, so our crew from OSU showed up at Darren's house, and they were having a moderator meeting in the downstairs basement. They said everything was going good to go. Everything was going fine, but there were also a lot of rumblings from a lot of people that the game was really, really bad. I was hearing a lot of people complain to me, just saying like, "Oh, just get ready, it's about to be horrible." I try to trust what I heard, but I can only do so much on that. So the day of DarkCon, it was pretty uneventful. I think it went really well, honestly. It was successful, especially compared to the rest of the game. DarkCon was definitely the shining point of that game. All right, so then we fast forward to the next day. All right, the next day was the day of the game. So if you were there, you know what happened. All right, miscommunication, crappy missions, no consistent rulings. The moderator team was obviously unprepared, and honestly, they were way over their head, like seriously over their head. I really try to stay positive. I try to keep the morale up. Man, it was tough. It was really, really tough. Throughout the day, I was let in by the moderators more and more as to how unprepared it was. They were all blaming each other. It was bad. They were making the game up on the spot. Seriously, they were actually making the game up on the fly. The open world missions that they had designed, they were duplicated, as you guys probably realized, and like they had different. The people had the same mission several times, and those were generated like the night prior to the open world missions or the day of, which blows my mind. So it looked like a game that was made the day prior, and definitely not with 6 months in advance. So you know how it all went. It did not go good. It was bad, seriously bad. So I was, after day one, I was not directly involved in this part. However, I was indirectly involved through other people. So I know of information, but I was not there for it. Understand that. Live Action Society, the Nerf group for MSU, they voted to kick Eric off campus and finish NvZ as an entity of Live Action Society immediately after day one. So they voted to kick him off campus. As expected, the organization, Live Action Society, was not happy with what happened, and they cited NvZ doing things that were against the conditions set by MSU campus administration. Now, I don't know enough details, okay, and the information I'm saying may be incorrect or not exactly what's going on, but that is from what I was told by several different people. That's what happened. However, he was not kicked off campus, and instead he convinced them that he convinced the powers to be that he should stay and finish off day two. So then we fast forward. So that night at around 2 a.m., if I remember correctly, around 2 a.m., I received a call from Eric asking to be a part of the moderator team for the second day to help out, since I have experience creating games, so he wanted me to come on board and help him try to salvage this thing. He also told me that he was wanting to cancel all gameplay the next day and just have open world missions and nothing else. Basically to redo the exact same things they had for day one for the open world missions, and just end HVZ on that, which I think is a horrible idea. And I told him that. I also said that I would help, but I also told him that I was going to be taking a leading role in salvaging this thing. So pretty much he was going to be in the back burner. He was going to listen to me, and we were going to fix it. So he wanted me to show up the next morning at 7 a.m. to start planning for the next day. So I got like 4 hours of sleep, and I got back up, and I showed back on campus at 7 a.m. And of course, I was only one of 2 or 3 people to actually show up. So they have an admin team or a moderator team of like 8 people. Only 2 showed up. Basically, people did not really show up until 8 a.m., which I was pretty pissed off about at the time, as you can imagine. When they did show up, I was told the mission that they had. I don't remember it, but I know that I did not like it, and I said, sorry, guys, but it's not happening. We are doing this mission. We are doing my mission. It's going to happen. I had someone tell me that it didn't fit with the plot. I told them I didn't give a shit, and so we were going to go with this mission regardless. It was a mission that we were designing for the upcoming game for Gotham City, Oklahoma State game. It was a breadcrumb mission. You had construction flags out there. You had to go find the construction flags in order. It was pretty cool, little breadcrumb scavenger hunt sort of deal. So I told Eric the materials that he needed and to get his ass to campus ASAP. I drew up maps of the mission. I marked the flags. I had the moderators placed as quickly as possible. I made sure everyone was on the same page. I also called up a good friend of mine named Don Ben, and I begged him. I said, please, 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 please come and help me because I'm screwed. Like, we need help. So he agreed, and he went as quickly as possible, came to campus, and helped me out. I really, really appreciate what he did. I told him that he is going to handle all zombie communication. So he was going to be in charge of all the zombies. I was going to be in charge of all the humans, and we were going to coordinate together to make sure this whole miscommunications that happened on day 1 was not going to happen again. So if I remember correctly, our mission started at about 10:30. The mission was successful. We had issues, but for a never before seen mission, one that we made up at OSU, we're like, hey, let's try it. It was a play test for us. I think it went pretty well. We planned and executed the entire mission like 2.5 hours, or we planned and started the mission in 2.5 hours. So I think for what we had, we handled it pretty damn well. MSU also had a parking lot mission that they do every year. So I don't know if that was actually part of the original plan, but we did go with the MSU mission to end it because it was something we're all familiar with. They did the mission. It went pretty well. It was simple. And then what we did is Dawn and I, we talked back and forth. I would give them human mission briefing. Dawn would give design briefing. We would talk on the phone at the same time, make sure any questions or confusions were being addressed at the exact same time by both parties. So it helped avoid issues. Yeah, the mission ended on a successful note. We were able to close out NvZ on a pretty high note, especially considering the absolute cluster that we had on day 1. So moving on, then we left the bar parking garage, went to the award ceremony or closing remarks time, and Eric was there giving the closing remarks. And I was in his ear the entire time. I'm sure there's videos of it. I'm sure you can see me doing it. I was begging him, absolutely begging him, to take responsibility for what happened on day one in this entire just disaster. Just begged him. He didn't do it at all. He effectively dodged every bit of responsibility and just said that it was a brand new concept. It was something crazy and elaborate, never been done before. So, of course, we were expecting things to happen. All right. Okay, I will give him something on that. Yes, there was definitely some things that I can attribute to being something new. However, everyone should know that there were serious issues that were not because of that. It was horribly mismanagement. It was horribly mismanaged, and it stems from incompetence. Honestly, it just stems from incompetence. They had no idea what they were doing. And I don't think the entire moderator team was thinking that. It stemmed from the top. That was the problem. There was no reason whatsoever for that game to be in that sort of shape after so much opportunity for planning. They had 6 months. I was seriously pissed off, like insanely pissed off. I was done, especially after he refused to give up take responsibility once again. At that time, I was done. I decided that it was not going to happen again to another campus. And without the actual individual parties knowing, I invited Eric and his family to dinner, and I also invited Athens, the Athens team that came down, also to dinner at the same time, the same place for an intervention. All right, so I sat everyone. So I also brought a few people with me. I brought Nico Perez, really good friend of mine. Don Ben, like we were talking before. Don Ben was also there, and then I also have another person that was there. I'd rather this individual not be named, but just know somebody else was there as well, just to ensure that I was not going to be easy on anybody there. I was not going to leave any stone unturned. And I was going to make sure these issues were addressed in front of Eric, in front of the Athens team, and make sure they hold me accountable so I can hold them accountable properly. It was a surprise intervention. That's what it was. So the Athens team showed up first, and I informed them that I apologize for putting them into the situation, but what I need to address needs to be addressed in front of them. So what happened to MSU doesn't happen to them. Also, it is important to note that the Athens team did not show up until day 2. Okay, so they were not there for day 1. So they didn't get to witness all the fun stuff and all the crazy things that happened on day 1. They just got to see day 2, where I'm assuming was a lot better. Okay, so they really didn't get to see what they were walking themselves into. All right, so after Athens has been briefed, Eric shows up. He was surprised, but he was also welcoming of our meeting. Okay, he was welcoming. He wasn't like, oh, no, F it, I'm not doing it. No, he was actually really cool about it. It was more than I expected, honestly. He did really good on that. And the entire meeting, it never got hostile. Understand, it never got hostile. However, everything that needed to be said was said. Okay, everything. Some of the examples that I have are... we discussed having transparent moderator selections by a panel, having an admin expectation sheet to ensure that there are no confusions as to what's expected by admins, having a constitution drafted and publicly published to ensure that there is more transparency in regards to cost, and also drafting an expectation for what host schools should expect. And also a process for a host school to remove NvZ from their campus, and also just a whole lot of game design changes. So we sat there for approximately 3 hours. I think that's probably a good estimation. So it was very thorough, and I kept looking back over my shoulder being like, hey, is there anything I'm missing here? Anything I'm missing here? Anything I'm missing here? And the other people in the party were like, no, you're hitting it pretty well. So it wasn't hostile, but it was definitely direct. Overall, it was a very productive meeting, and I was honestly very optimistic when I left, thinking that NvZ was going to be a huge success living on. I have Athens team here. I have the parties of NvZ here. They're all here. Everyone's going to be all happy. We have everything in the open. Now we're going to be able to build something, move forward, and create something awesome. I was really, really optimistic about it. So after we left there, I emailed Eric several different examples of admin expectation sheets, constitutions, and stuff like that he's going to need to draft. And I kept inquiring on it, trying to get more information out of him and trying to help him with this process. I really wanted to make this work. All right, so once I did get back, I did my absolute best to try to manage the backlash at NvZ in the best way possible. All right, I focused discussions on the exchange page to constructive criticism. Same thing with the Reddit page. I openly encourage constructive feedback of the game, but I didn't want people to be like hateful and just spew venom, venom or toxin, whatever the heck it is. All right. I knew that I was going to get better as soon as the problems were fixed, and so I knew that I just wanted to lessen the permanent damage to the game because I knew it was going to be awesome later down the road. I was convinced of it. It was all going to be better. All right, so I kept pushing Eric to get information on what the status of the Constitution, expectations, and anything else anything was going on. I wanted to get information. Okay, I was also informed that I'd be part of the moderator selection panel, so I was looking forward to hearing about what the process is going to be for the moderator selection panel. And then about a month or so after the meeting, after the game was over, They announced their next moderator team without any panel, any transparency whatsoever. They didn't have admin expectation sheets, didn't have a constitution set up. Pretty much everything we talked about during the meeting at Fazoli's didn't happen. None of it. I went from very optimistic on the game happening and being a success into just totally done. I was just totally done. I feel betrayed. This whole thing just it went from like we got something, it went bad, but we're gonna make it good again, to just being like, nah, we're gonna do whatever the hell we want. I don't care anymore. So at that point, I'm just like, all right, I'm done. I'm not gonna help him. I'm entirely this game is dead to me. That's my philosophy on it. Basically, he just said what I wanted to hear so he could leave. That's all I want to do. For 3 hours, he sat there agreeing with me, nodding his head. Athens team was there, nodding their head, just to make me leave. Cool. I knew that there was nothing that was agreed upon that was actually going to happen. And at that point, the game to me was unsalvageable. And honestly, he needed to be removed. His incompetence and just incompetence. Like it not knowing how to do this is one thing. You can fix that. You will get experience over time. But you can't fix integrity. And that's my problem. He just straight up lied. And I can't accept that. That's not the appropriate behavior for someone who's trying to manage this. There are so many more qualified people out there. So after that, I sent him a simple message on Facebook. All it said was the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So I sent him. Whenever he inquired what that was about, I responded. I said, I am not going to waste my breath. I've done enough already. So there's more since then, but realistically, that's pretty much been the breakdown. Everything else happened in the last couple days. I'm just as shocked as you guys. So, all right, now my response to this whole situation, trying to separate them out. So that was my experience. Now my response. So let me make some things clear. All right, first off, I never contacted Drac about this until after this was revealed. Okay, I was just as shocked as everyone else. I thought about contacting Drac just to see what we can do, but I never actually did it. And I didn't coordinate with him at all. However, I do believe what he is doing in creating NvZ is the right thing. I honestly do feel what he's doing is the right thing. I am not a nerfer, okay? And whatever drama that's around him that is or is not deserved, I honestly don't know. And honestly, I really don't care. However, I do feel what he is doing right now is the best for the game of humans versus zombies. Okay, this is what we need to do to move forward. Another thing I want to say is I do believe that Eric has always done what he truly believes is best for the HDD community. I honestly don't think that he did anything maliciously or anything was a money grab, like what is being said by a lot of people. I really don't think that's true. I know the situation enough to know that he wasn't actually profiting anything from this game, and that he is actually, or was, reinvesting everything back into NvZ. I am personally frustrated that I was lied to and that I wasted so much time trying to do something with him that it was a total waste of my time. But that is personal issues that I have with him, and that should not be held by anybody else. That being said, though, I do believe that it needs to be brought up, all those different issues that we had, because it does bring up a clear picture of his story. And without those antidotes and stuff, I don't think people can really grasp what we were truly dealing with here. I do believe he needed to be out of the head admin position. I truly believe that needed to happen. I don't think NvZ will ever be a success with him as head admin. But I do wish it was done much more discreetly than what actually happened. I won't be able to attend NvZ this June, but I'm very excited to see what does come from it. Send me pictures, videos, all that. I'll be following it. I promise. I'm so jealous. I really want to go, but it is what it is. And if NvZ does want to exist, then by all means, I truly, truly hope for the absolute best for Kelsey and Michael and all those people. They're all really, really good people, guys. All right, they do not deserve the hate that they're getting right now. All right, they are all really good people. Um, please support both sides. All right, like let's all come together, put the drama behind us, and just move on. Okay, we can have 2 games. It's okay. But check out the quote that Victoria posted on the Nations vs. Zombies thing. I think that brings up my whole thoughts better than anything else. Don't be a douchebag and always follow rule number 1, guys. So, all right, I appreciate it. I hope this finds you well. Wow, 25-minute video. Wow, I'm sorry about that, guys, but I think it's good information. So, see you guys.